I want to start this video in a unique way, but I know it might get me in trouble before I warn you about what I'm about to do. So what I need to do is give a disclaimer before I get into that portion, before I give you the details of the story, okay? Some viewers may find the following content offensive and controversial. The information in this video comes from multiple sources, including court records, official police charges, news web articles, and interviews. This video commentary also contains my personal opinions about the facts of this story. The point is to use this story as a cautionary tale in hopes of preventing tragedies like these to children going forward. Viewer discretion is advised. That is your official disclaimer. All right, now before we get into the details and before we talk about that charred, burn up house, I want to show you guys a picture, and I just want y'all to tell me when you see this picture, that one right there, Lord have mercy. I feel sorry for your mother. I feel sorry for whatever man was the father of these kids. Is there just a shortage of options out there? I want y'all to look at this face, and both of those pictures are the same person. Look at her face. And you'd have to wonder, did the devil break the mold when he made this woman's face? I mean, my goodness. Like, first of all, ma'am, I think your eyes are a bit too far apart. You're sitting there looking like Glorilla, really, with one eye over here and then the other eye just decides to be on the side of your head. Sorry, Glorilla, but ma'am, you know what you look like. This is Glorilla's little sister, Glorilla. Go Glorilla, Glorilla. Now, face tattoos. What have I got? Yes, this is a female. I'm sorry. Maybe I need to clarify. My bad. Yes, this is a female. My apologies, guys, that did not know any better. They said she looks like this thing from Harry Potter. Oh my God. Y'all are so mean. Face tattoos. I think the people that get face tattoos are crazy and shouldn't be parents. She got forehead tattoos, eye tattoos, face tattoos, neck tattoos. Just unbelievable. This is absolutely unbelievable. But let me tell you guys about the details about what this person did, because you might be wondering, why am I going in on her looks? And it is because of what she is accused of doing, okay? So let's not feel too bad for her. This story is coming from the website WXII12.com. So thank you for the article. Greensboro, North Carolina, y'all are taking the L. Brandy Sturdivant was in the Guilford County Courthouse on Monday. She's charged with 3 counts of felony neglect and child abuse in a house fire that killed all 3 of her children, all under the age of 5 years old. All of these babies, man. What could these children have become? Well, guess what? We'll never know. We'll never know. Brandy Sturdivant, and yes, this is a woman, 28 years old. I think that's a woman. I think that's what I read in here. Mother, yes. Was seen on the monitor heavily crying and rocking back and forth during her court appearance because she feels bad for herself and not her kids. The district attorney described the details of the fire as very graphic and gruesome. If y'all see that house, it was really, really bad. The DA said Sturdivant was not home when the fire happened on December the 12th, and she told detectives she was taking her 2 older children to school. Okay, I know some of y'all aren't mathematicians, neither am I, but let's do the math. 3 children have died in a house fire. You weren't there because you allegedly were taking your 2 other children to school. You are 28 years old with 5 kids. And guess what she didn't have? A husband, let alone a boyfriend, let alone a babysitter, let alone these kids at 5 years old should be in daycare or pre-K at this point. Pre-kindergarten at 5 years old should be in school at this point. But nonetheless, 5 kids, 28 years old. Just, man, some people just don't need to have reproductive organs, man. Greensboro police were called to the scene at approximately 7:55 a.m. in reference to a law assist request by Greensboro Fire Department. So let me stop the video right there. For those of y'all who might get mad about what I just said, pause for a moment because it's about to get worse as far as the details. I'm telling y'all, don't feel bad for her. Don't make excuses for her. The DA said that the fire was around the doorframe of the bedroom all 3 kids were sleeping in. She said if they wanted to get out, they couldn't have. Let me say that again. She said if they wanted to get out, they could not have gotten out. When firefighters got inside through a window, all 3 were found dead, 2 one-year-old twins and a 4-year-old. According to an autopsy, the 4-year-old child had cocaine in his system at the time of his death. Sturdivant, the mother, admitted to having cocaine in the home. Remember when I told you, don't make excuses for her, don't get mad at me, don't feel bad for her? It's about to get worse. Cocaine in his system, 4 years old. The DA also said that the Department of Social Services got calls weeks before the fire that the children were left at the home alone routinely. Do I need to repeat that? The children were left at home alone routinely. People saw something and they said something. Thank you for listening to my hashtag. They called in to Child Protective Services workers multiple times. The Department of Social Services, DSS, according to neighbors, Sturdivant, that fool, was the only adult that lived at the home and was rarely at home and often left the kids home alone at night. Considering the fact that she's 28 with 5 kids and had cocaine, she was either going to go get coked up or poked up with some dick. Coked up and poked up. And whoever was having sex with her unprotected, man, oof. Y'all don't need to have y'all reproductive organs either. The DA said the Sturdivant was already on probation for felony hit and run and assault resulting in serious injury. Let me say that again. She was already on probation for a felony hit and run and assault resulting in serious injury. But she was allowed to keep her children? Really? Y'all want me to keep going? The DA also noted that Sturdivant tried to run away to Virginia before she got arrested for this. Or maybe not for this, but they said before being arrested. So I don't know which arrest that they were talking about since she got so many legal issues. Judge Kelvin Smith said she should have no contact with the older children, which I agree with, that also resided in the home and have no contact with the known state witnesses at this time. Sturdivant's 2 other children are in protective or in the protection of social services at this time. The DA said that there are a lot of witnesses in the case and that they have concerns for their safety. The court would note, based on the presentation today, that I would make findings that she is both a flight risk and a threat to the community, said Judge Smith, and I agree. Judge Smith also took a moment of silence, saying, in terms of the court, is to acknowledge the tragic loss of life of the children. Sturtevant faces a maximum sentence of 88 months on each count if convicted. Why months? Why not years? Months? Hashtag coked up and poked up. Thank you. I like that. We always coming up with some hashtags. I like that. Thank you. 88 months of each count if convicted. The district attorney said homicide charges are pending as detectives are still investigating. So maybe that'll change and get more sturdy, more drastic. Detectives are still investigating the cause of the fire, but Sturtevant told them that she used an oven to heat the home because she couldn't afford heat. But do y'all feel bad for her not being able to afford heat, but you can afford coke? You can't afford heat, but you can afford cocaine. You can't afford heat, but you can afford to have 5 kids. 5 human beings. You can't afford heat, which means that you couldn't afford to have any children at all. So if you had 0 children, guess what you still couldn't afford? Heat. That small of a house, let's back this up like a U-Haul truck. Let's back this up. And let me be real with y'all. Kids or no kids. That house is so tiny that looks like a 1-person, 1-bedroom house. So that means if you couldn't afford heat in that little bitty house, then you couldn't afford heat if you were living there by yourself. But I want y'all to look at that picture right there. Guess what she can't afford? You can't afford heat, but what can she afford? Shout out to Tommy, by the way, because something he talks about all the time. You can't afford heat, but what does she have on her head? You can't afford heat, but what was that she was probably putting up her nose? Can't afford heat, but what did her child get in custody of? Her cocaine. Before y'all start feeling sorry for her. A Guilford County detective present in court Monday said that the investigation is still ongoing and has more people to interview. Sturtevant remains in jail on a $150,000 bond. Her next court appearance will be March 16th. But like I said, with more charges coming up, I'm pretty sure that bail is going to go up. Let me give you guys the fair usage. Where is it at? There we go. Federal law allows citizens to reproduce, distribute, or exhibit portions of copyrighted motion pictures, videotapes, or video discs under certain circumstances without the authorization of the copyright holder. This is called fair use. It is allowed for purposes of criticism, news reporting, teaching, and parody, which doesn't infringe of copyright under 17 U.S.C. 107. And I gotta say, man, somebody in the chat actually caught that too. Can't afford heat, but you can afford all those tattoos on your eyelids, on the side of your face, on your forehead. Man, you just got tattoos in just stupid places. Like, what's the point of having a tattoo on your freaking head, man? Just can't be at this level of dumb. Let's get it.
It was at that autopsy, Detective Persino from the police department learned that this 4-year-old had cocaine in his system at the time of death. That in and of itself is another charge that will be forthcoming. When Detective Persino interviewed Ms. Sturtevant, she admitted that she kept cocaine in her home in a box, and that would explain how this 4-year-old got into the ability to have cocaine in his system. We are still awaiting final determinations as to the origin of the fire, the cause of the fire, and we anticipate that there will be some further homicide charges. At this point, we don't know what they are, pending those final reports.
She is absolutely inconsolable about what happened. A Greensboro mother is in jail tonight accused in the deaths of her 3 young children. A judge refused to lower bond for Brandy Sturdivant today, calling her a flight risk and a threat.
Sturdivant is charged with neglect after a fire killed her 4-year-old and 1-year-old twins. WFMY News 2's Amber Lake was at the in court today for the mom's first court appearance. Amber joins us live now after learning some new disturbing details about this case.
That's right. A 4-year-old and 2 1-year-old babies died in that house fire on Grimsley Street back on December 12th. Now, an autopsy report shows that cocaine was found in the 4-year-old's system the day that he died. Now, last week, police charged 28-year-old Brandy Sturdivant with 3 counts of felony child abuse after leaving her children alone in the home. Sturdivant made her first court appearance today virtually. In court, the state says Sturdivant admitted that she kept cocaine in her home, which is how the child was able to get it.
This 4-year-old had cocaine in his system at the time of death. That in and of itself is another charge that will be forthcoming. When Detective Persino interviewed Ms. Sturdivant, she admitted that she kept cocaine in her home in a box, and that would explain how this 4-year-old got into the ability to have cocaine in his system.
The state went on to say that after the fire, Sturdivant was made aware that there were warrants out for her arrest. The state said Sturdivant told a friend to tell police that she went to Virginia. That's when the Violent Crimes Apprehension Team got involved. The judge said due to the nature of this situation, as well as previous evidence of violence, Sturdivant's bond will remain the same. She also isn't allowed to have contact with her 2 surviving children or any witnesses in this case. Now, the state also said that there was a DSS report prior to the fire where neighbors called and said that Sturdivant had left her children unattended and alone multiple times. The investigation is ongoing.
WXII 12 News. This is breaking news.
Breaking news on this Monday, we're learning more about the day 3 children, all under the age of 5, were killed in a house fire in Greensboro.
Their mother, Brandy Sturdivant, was in court today. She is charged with 3 counts of neglect and child abuse. WXII 12's Maria DeBone was in court where Sturdivant joined through a video monitor. And Maria, what can you tell us?
Well, Brandy Sturdivant was seen on the monitor heavily crying and rocking back and forth. This was all happening as the district attorney was describing the details of the fire, which she said were, quote, very graphic and gruesome. Now, the DA said Sturdivant was not home when the fire happened on December 12th and that she told detectives she was taking her 2 older children to school. The DA said the fire was around the door frame of the bedroom all 3 kids were sleeping in and said if they wanted to get out, they couldn't have. And when firefighters got inside through a window, all 3 were found dead, 2 1-year-old twins and a 4-year-old. And according to an autopsy, the 4-year-old child had cocaine in his system at the time of his death, and Sturdivant admitted to having cocaine in the home. And the DA also said that DSS got a call weeks before the fire that children were left home alone routinely. And detectives are still investigating a cause of the fire, but Sturdivant told them that she used an oven to heat the home because she couldn't afford heat. Now, detectives also noted that Sturdivant tried to run away to Virginia before being arrested.
She should have no contact with the older children that also resided in the home. No contact with any of the known state witnesses at this time. The court would note, based off the presentation today, that I would make a finding that she is both a flight risk and a threat to the community.
And Sturdivant faces a maximum sentence of 88 counts on each count if convicted, and the district attorney said homicide charges are pending as the investigation is still ongoing. And tonight she remains in jail on a $150,000 bond, with her next court appearance being March 16th. In Guilford County tonight, Maria DeBone, WXII 12 News.
And let me say this in conclusion, because most of the time I usually don't comment on what DHS, CPS, or whatever could have done better. But the fact that neighbors, more than likely, or family or friends, or whomever it is that actually told and said that, oh yeah, she leaves these kids at home by themselves all the time. She leaves them at night, overnight, all the time. She's always going. She just leaves them there. the fact that so many people reported this time I can't make any excuses and not say that this is not a failure on Child Protective Services. They fail a lot, but this is a clear indicator. She should have had her children taken a long time ago with that many reports, and the fact that everybody's just like, this is pretty normal for her, leaving her kids there all the time. Like, what did you expect the neighbors to do? Break in her house, steal her kids, and then she turn around and say, yeah, somebody stole my kids, y'all. Broke in my house illegally, broke the law. What else were they supposed to do? If you call the authorities, you call the police, you call Child Protective Services, and they don't step in and do what they are paid to do, you can't expect for anybody else to risk their life and their freedom and their way of life to try to go in and do something about this. This is definitely a failure on the state, even more so. I think this is also a failure on the fathers. How about that? Can we throw fathers under the bus for a moment, ladies? Can we do that? Just for a moment. To any man that has had sex with her after that first kid, seeing how she was living, knowing what type of chick she is, even seeing the tattoos on her face. Even though her eyes is, one is over here and then the other one's over here, like a freaking, like a moose or something like that. Got her eyes spread apart. I'm F-R-E-E, but Nick V ain't get it. Looking like Glorilla. Eyes spaced all apart. Goodness gracious. It's just not a thread of anything attractive on this woman. But to the men that continue to produce the twins, that was 2 kids back to back. That's already a big red flag right there. But that was sort of 2 youngest. So the oldest, you had 1 kid. Then a man turned around and slept with her unprotected. Then she had another kid. Then she turned around and had another kid and slept with her unprotected. You knew she had kids. Boom. Then another man turned around and had sex with her unprotected, and then she had twins. Like, you just can't keep doing this. And we can't keep excusing reckless procreation like this. It's flat out unacceptable, okay? But let me know what you guys think in the comment section. And this looked like Glorilla's little baby sister. And yeah, I think she needs life in prison. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section. That's what it is, man. To those babies, beautiful little babies. R.I.P. Young Princes, R.I.P. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.